So the new M2 iPad Air 11-inch seems to be pretty popular so far. It's a little easier to handle than the 13-inch, but then you have an even smaller iPad mini, but is it a better option than the new iPad Air? Well, let's talk about it. Starting price of the new iPad Air 11-inch is $599 versus $499 for the iPad mini, but I've seen it as low as $399 here recently. One advantage with the iPad Air is you have double the storage with the base model at 128 gigabytes versus only 64 for the iPad mini. You can go up to 1 terabyte of storage for the iPad Air versus 256 on the iPad mini. One of the biggest differences is going to be the screen size at 8.3 inches for the iPad mini versus 10.86 inches for the iPad Air. Resolution for the iPad mini is 2266 by 1488 versus a slightly better 2360 by 1640 resolution for the iPad Air. Both are 60 Hz refresh rate and up to 500 nits brightness. Also, the iPad mini is quite a bit lighter at only 293 grams versus 462 for the iPad Air. As far as battery life goes, kind of surprisingly, the iPad mini lasted about 7.5 hours in my typical battery drain test versus just over 5 hours for the iPad Air. They also both have 20-watt USB-C charging and should last a day or two with mixed usage, especially if you turn the screen brightness down. But if you want the tablet with better battery life, you'll want to go with the iPad mini. Performance-wise, obviously the new iPad Air has the M2 chip, which is going to be quite a bit more powerful than the A15 Bionic chip that's in the mini. As you can see here by the Geekbench testing, where it's almost double the multi-core score and double the GPU score. The iPad Air has 8 gigabytes of RAM, where the mini has only 4. But having said that, the iPad mini is still one of the most powerful small tablets that you can get right now. So if you're looking for a small tablet, I feel like the iPad mini is going to be at the top of your list. So depending on how you plan on using your iPad, the Air is going to be more powerful for video editing and things like that. But again, the iPad mini is still pretty powerful compared to just about every other small tablet out there, even though it's 3 years old now. One obvious advantage for the iPad mini is it's going to be easier to handle if you're doing a lot of gaming. Of course, if you're using a controller, either one is a good option, but the Air might be a little bit better option for gaming that way. As far as software goes, both iPads are currently on iPadOS 17.5.1 as of this video, so they're going to feel almost identical, just smaller on the mini. You also have the Touch ID on the power button for both iPads. You also only get Stage Manager on the iPad Air, not necessarily a deal breaker for me though. You also get an advantage since you can only use the new Apple Pencil Pro on the iPad Air versus the 2nd gen Apple Pencil on the iPad mini. It might depend on if you want those extra features. It is kind of nice to be able to squeeze on the new pencil to bring up tools. So both are good options for drawing, taking notes, or just moving around the software. But the iPad Air is going to have a little more breathing room with a larger display. Nice thing is both iPads have video out, so you can easily connect this to a TV or an external monitor using an HDMI adapter, which I prefer while traveling so I don't have to mess with slower Wi-Fi. And then obviously if you want longer software support, you'll want to go with the iPad Air since the mini is going on 3 years old now, which is another reason you may want to wait just a little bit longer, considering there's rumors of a new iPad mini 7 that may be out later this year. Nice thing is you get speakers on each side for both iPads, so they're pretty balanced. Weird thing is, even though the iPad mini is quite a bit smaller, it actually sounds a little bit louder to me. I don't know, that might just be me, but here's a quick sample just to see if you can hear a difference. As far as the cameras go, they're going to be somewhat similar with a 12 megapixel wide angle lens on the back of both. Plus you can shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second on both for video recording. Both have a 12 megapixel ultra wide for the front facing camera, although on the Air, they've moved it to the landscape or longer side now, which might be a better option for Zoom meetings, FaceTime, or other video conference calls. Here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what to expect. But overall, both are pretty good quality when it comes to the cameras. I even use the Mini to record videos for my YouTube channel for pretty much an entire year. So as you can see, yes, the iPad Air is going to win in some categories, but it may just come down to personal preference. I know for anyone who wants a small, powerful tablet that's going to cost quite a bit less, it'll be tough to beat the iPad Mini. Of course, you might want to wait for the 7th generation to come out, hopefully later this year. But if you like phones, tablets, and other tech, I've got a lot more that I'm working on, so keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.